Hi, good day, my fellow Jamaicans. You have heard the presentation from the opposition leader, and I have one thing to say about the presentation, about the budget presentation coming from the leader of the opposition, following on the presentation from the spokesperson on finance from that same opposition and the minister of finance from the governing party. It's very important for us to understand what we're hearing. The opposition leader has spent the time, given that he's being paid by taxpayers to do so, and he has the resources of his position as a funded party in the House with ministers who are being paid. He has taken the time to collect and gather all of what he's hearing from groups like the UIC, and other interest groups like the Maroons and the Rastafarians, and civil society across Jamaica, and persons within and without his party, and long-standing gripes that the Jamaican people have had about various issues. So he has worked behind the scenes to gather all of this information, much of it, by the way, extracted from the policies and ideas and plans of the UIC, and he has presented it as his own without reference to the source of this new inspiration. I must admit that his presentation was well done and came across quite nicely, and quite believable. You could feel like you could trust him and trust his party, except for the fact that we have 80 years of history from which to draw on to help us with our assessment of the gentleman and his party. The mere fact that he chose to join one of two organized criminal gangs to pursue his political aspirations, and that he has played an integral part in some very serious matters concerning the policies of the P.J. Patterson-Omar Davis administration, which led to the banking crisis and the FinSac debacle and the loss of many businesses and jobs and the destruction of the Jamaican economy, is a matter that we should not take very lightly. The fact that he has never once clearly articulated the fact that the system is the problem and not the various nice sounding promises which he has made and which we all can make. Any politician can tell you that they're going to create heaven on earth. Any politician can tell you that they're going to address the needs of seniors, address the needs of the disabled, address the need for lower cost energy, address the need for water, address the need for proper roads, address the needs for justice, address the need for constitutional reform. Any leader can tell you that. But what you really want to hear from a leader is that they truly understand the core and fundamental problems. And what we heard from the opposition leader, his spokesperson on finance, and the Minister of Finance so far is a clear indication that they have no intention whatsoever to fix the core problems. And because they're not committed to fixing the core problem, then nothing else that they say is of any value. Now, it is very important for us to remember one thing from my presentation this morning, and it is this. Any party at all, which promises you to do for you tomorrow what they could have done for you yesterday, should not be trusted. I'll say that again. Any party which promises to do for you tomorrow what they could have done for you yesterday cannot and should not be trusted. What the opposition leader and the leader of the sitting governing party and their team will be trying to do and are trying to do is to get you to forget reality and focus on the possibility. Now, the time for that was in 1944, when we got the right to vote for the first time from those who took away our freedom. The time for that was in 1962, when we got a chance to write a new constitution and forge our independence. Today, the time is very different. It is for us as a people to reflect upon our past decisions and the decisions of those who have led us thus far. And when you look at the 80 years of those two parties and where they have led us so far, which is into a trap of significant debt, a massive debt burden that denied us the resources we needed to make Jamaica into a first-class country some 30, 40 years ago. Instead, they borrowed, wasted, and stole billions of dollars from us, and then they sacrificed us to pay it back. During this time, they passed many legislations. It's easy to pass legislations. It's a very different thing to make the intentions of those legislation come to pass. You can say you're going to pass legislation to protect the vulnerable and the poor or the elderly, but just passing the legislation does not mean you're going to end up with properly designed and well-built sidewalks, with well-designed and well-built roads, with a competent, caring, and respectful police service, or a healthcare system that you can trust and one which you can depend on to give you proper healthcare in a timely manner. So passing legislations, whether it is in housing or in some area of the economy, does not mean anything if the governance structure is such that it will lead to massive corruption, massive waste, and massive mismanagement at the end of the day, which leaves you as a taxpayer to pay the taxes, whole heap of taxes, while not receiving quality and appropriate government services. The UIC is therefore committed to not siding with either of these two colonial parties. It's very tempting for everybody because you want better. And so it's easy to look to what currently exists. But remember, they're being funded by the PSOJ oligarchs to trick you. They're being funded by the PSOJ oligarchs to fool you. They're being funded by the PSOJ oligarchs to make themselves rich. So all that will come of the beautiful budget presentations, the witty comments, and the banging of the desks, and the laughter, and the chatter, and the disrespectful banter that they engage in Parliament, all that will come of it is that they will be richer, and you and I and our children and their children will suffer from greater poverty and insecurity. I put it to you that our best bet is to make sure we do not vote for any of them, but that we join hands with me in the UIC to create the People's Party that will work for and only for the people of Jamaica. We must be a party that is owned by the people, controlled by the people, to work only for the people. That is the purpose of the UIC. That's why it was created, to be the People's Party. Of course, we're not where we want to be yet, because you need to catch up with us. You need to join us and help us. Thank you.